Hello, everybody. My name is Jacob, and welcome to the Epileptic Gamer Podcast. This is going to be a different episode today. I would go back and forth and explain how and what the latest news is, but this one is going to be a full-on rant because I think it's time to drop the act about these video game reviews. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to give it to you in the simplest terms possible. I am talking about stuff that would be related to Call of Duty getting 10 out of 10s, or 8 out of 10s, but in reality, it's a 5 out of 10. But the same thing goes with Madden. People will give it an 8 out of 10. In reality, it's the same copy and paste game, just with the roster update. So, why is this happening? They say it doesn't exist, but we all know it's not true. I like to call them paid reviews, in which a company will actually pay developers, reviewers, to give them high scores. In turn, those high scores are going to make the game look good, and that, in turn, gets more sales. So, everybody wins. You get more site traffic, the company gets more sales. Everything is fine and good. Except for the consumers who are going to run off of these scores. For example, Last of Us Part 1, when it came out on the PC, it got great scores. Yeah, that is until somebody with an extremely good rig, and when I say extremely good, we're talking top of the line parts, ran it, and it was the most choppy thing that they've ever played in their lives. That as of me recording this, Last of Us Part 1 on Steam is sitting at mixed reviews. Put that in perspective. The Last of Us, one of the greatest games of the past decade. And yes, if that doesn't make you feel old, Last of Us is turning 10. The Last of Us Part 1 is sitting on mixed reviews. Blows your mind sometimes, doesn't it? And it's not the same, it's not like a one-time thing. Horizon Zero Dawn got ported over. Terrible performance. What happened with the reviews? Turns out they got a pretty good review. Pretty interesting thought process, but let's go to Cyberpunk 2077. Granted, we all knew that it was going to be a shit show. But the reviews never said that. No, it still got an 8 out of 10 in some spots. Some spots I even gave it a 9 out of 10. You want to know the funniest part is that they will only nitpick certain quotes from certain reviews. So it would say, audience says that this is the next best game. When in reality, if you were to look up that quote, it would be one long paragraph on why it could be the next best game. And that's just me throwing out examples. It's been going on for ages. It's been going on in FIFA. It's been going on in NHL. It's been going on Madden. It's going to be going on forever. And it's time to drop the act. It's time for someone, I don't know who, someone from some company to come out and say that they are getting paid to release these things. Because it's getting absurd. How, when Crash N. Sane Trilogy, the remakes, first came out, they gave, I think, a 7 out of 10 on IGN. And it was like a 5 out of 10 for people that first played the game. Not bad. That's respectable. And I feel like that is an absolute decent score, and it is worthy of that. However, when you're rehashing the same game, such as Madden and NHL are, that's when it's a problem. Because you cannot give NHL 23 whatever you've given it, which I think was like an 8 out of 10 last I checked when it first came out. But then you're going to give NHL 24, which let's be called a spade. It's going to be the first one coming out on PS5 alone. Probably going to be a 9 or a 10 out of 10. It's going to get bad in the future. And if we don't start calling people out on this shit, we have to have these developers start taking accountability, because the past 4 games, Last of Us Part 1, Cyberpunk, Horizon Zero Dawn, and many more have had release statements. And if you want to go even further down the line, the new Star Wars game had to release a statement apologizing on how poorly it was optimized. When are we going to start holding developers accountable for what products that they are giving out? I understand that, yes, you have deadlines. But here's the thing. If you're going to be charging $70 for this, make sure you can run it. That's why you have quality control. That's why you have beta testers. Street Fighter 6 just finished up their beta as of me recording, and it was a shitload of fun. Granted, the servers are bad, but again, it's a beta. Stuff is supposed to be expected like that. But whenever you have stuff like that, you need to take into the account that it's just not the people writing it. There's people behind the scenes, and most likely the developers are paying them off to give these guys good reviews. Now, granted, there are some that are very nice about it. Indie developers are lucky enough that they can't afford to do that. You want to get to the most recent one? Let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach for a bit, shall we? The game was horrendous. It was advertised as the next big thing for the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, for this big world, and it fell flat. There was a game within a game, it felt like. And there were so many glitches to the point when they said they were going to put it on the Switch. So the Switch version came out, and you would clip out of your player's body. In no way should that be released if that's in that state of a product. That's something you see in alpha. Not when you're releasing it at the $60 version of a game. We gotta start holding developers accountable. They can't get away with this, because if they do, quality goes down. And if I want to play a video game, you bet your ass, if I'm paying $70, and let's be honest, the price is only going to go up, I want a good game. Granted, not every single game can be the greatest of all time. It's not going to happen. But every single video game should be decent enough to play. Like, that's basic knowledge. And I'm not a game developer. I'm not a coder. I am nothing of the sort. But I have worked with some code. I have worked with someone that made video games before, and I've even almost got to the point where I was taught by a developer. I know what it takes to make a video game. It's a lot. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. However, if you're going to put that product out, they should be ashamed of themselves. And you need to fix it. And you need to fix it now. Because if that's what the state of the gaming world is now, God help us 10 years down the line when we're going to get 6 out of 10s and 5 out of 10s in poorly made games. Because let's call a spade a spade. Last of Us Part 3, that's happening. And that can be either the greatest of all time when it comes to stories, or it can fall flat because the game is unoptimized, they didn't develop it properly, and they weren't held accountable for their actions. But I could go on for another 10-15 minutes, but I like to keep this thing short, so that's where I'm going to cut it off. I hope you guys have a great week. This is Jacob again. Thank you for joining me. I will see you in the next episode. Bye.